Hello everyone, and welcome back to another horror story reading video. Now we're going to try and keep this intro segment short, but if you haven't seen the first episode of this series, I highly recommend you go watch that one first before coming to watch this video, just because it provides a lot of lore and background to the world that I'm reading about inside this story. Now for anyone interested in hearing or reading the first part of the story, I will have my video on it and the original post linked in the description for you to go check out, but if not, let's just dive straight into this one. So today we have Nick and Rick's Pizza, rules for delivering to Granny Long Paw by you/the Gecko Wrangler. Hello Daryl. We once again would like to thank you for being a reliable employee. As we mentioned previously, we'll soon be sending you on your first delivery to Cribble Rock Run. Truth be told, we had hoped to send you sooner, but there's a specific customer we wanted you to deliver to for your first delivery. She took much longer than usual to place an order with us after an incident with a previous delivery boy. As we've said previously, delivering to each and every resident of Cribble Rock Run brings with it a series of risks. To improve your odds, we're giving you detailed information on the customer you're delivering to. We want to make sure you're properly prepared. Customer name, Granny Long Paw. Address 2249 Lesher Road. Residence description: a large decrepit wooden house covered almost entirely in thick vines. Regular order: one large meat lover's pizza, slightly burnt at the edges, topped with an extra mixture of raw quail, salmon and rabbit, seasoned with cinnamon. Customer description: Granny resembles a thin, shriveled old lady. Physically, she appears to be in her late 80s, though we doubt she's that young. She's always barefoot and wears a brownish-green dress so tattered it looks like it was woven from roots and vines. Her eyes are dark blue, her hair is a greying shade of black. Her skin resembles parchment paper, and she constantly walks as if she's limping. Those are by far her most normal characteristics. Additionally, Granny is 8 feet and 2 inches tall when standing straight. Her feet are slightly arched in the back. Her teeth appear to be entirely composed of sharp, pointed canines, and true to her name, Granny's hands are nearly 2 feet long from the tip of the middle finger to the base of the wrist. Most of this length is her fingers, which end in sharp, darkened points, without visible fingernails. On top of that, Granny's arms are so long her fingers very nearly drag across the floor as she walks. Rules for delivery. Rule number 1. When knocking on the front door, be very gentle. Granny Longpaw's house is extremely old and structurally unsound. If you thought those vines all over the house look like they're holding the whole thing together, it's because they are. One of our previous employees managed to knock so hard the door actually fell on him. Rule number 2. Granny will answer the door immediately after you knock. Doesn't matter if you previously saw her in an upper window or thought you noticed her in the nearby trees, she will always be right at the door when you knock. Number 3. Avoid making quick, sudden movements around Granny. She's a sweet old lady at heart, but is without a doubt a victim to her instincts. 4. No matter what happens, never run from Granny. Predators simply can't resist the urge to chase moving prey. 5. If you notice tree roots climbing around your body, don't be alarmed. This is just how Granny greets people. Think of it equal to a cat or a dog sniffing unfamiliar individuals. 6. Avoid touching any of the vines covering Granny's house. She typically only uses them to hold the house together, but they occasionally ensnare living creatures that touch them. 7. Granny is typically very friendly and usually quite polite, but she's easily offended by rude behavior as well as insults against plants and animals. Get too rude and she may even slap you. 8. Try to avoid making physical contact with Granny in any way. She doesn't know her own strength. The last driver who delivered to Granny was quite clumsy and accidentally tripped on her porch. When he did, Granny tried to help the man up by grabbing his hand. That hand ended up so badly broken, the doctors ended up having to amputate it. She's also repeatedly decapitated people on accident by slapping them. 9. Granny's eye color is an indicator of her current mood and physical condition. Dark blue is normal. White means she's excited. Violet implies she's sad. Black indicates anger. And yellow rings over the current color are a sign of extreme hunger. You'll probably notice the yellow rings in one form or another whenever you meet her. 10. The yellow rings will widen the more hungry she is. If when delivering to her the rings are so wide that you can't see another colour, slowly step back and throw the pizza at her. Granny is dangerously, irrationally hungry in this state. She'll probably devour the pizza with such speed it won't even have time to hit the floor. Trying to give her the pizza in any other way in this situation typically ends in missing limbs and horrified apologies from Granny at best, and missing persons reports and loads of paperwork at worst. 11. If the rings become that wide under any other circumstances, slowly and quietly go to your car, get the ham from the backseat mini fridge and throw it to her. 12. If you don't have the ham, you're in big danger. Treat her like you would a Bengal tiger. 13. Her choice of payment is among the stranger ones we get. Count the type and number of animals inside like you were counting money. To her, box turtles are equivalent to $20, hedgehogs 10, songbirds 5, bats to 1, spiders to quarters, moths to dimes, beetles to nickels, and crickets to pennies. 14. Granny will tell you how much money she's giving you, tip included. Do, however, be certain the animals in the cage correctly add up to the amount she claimed it was. Granny is not dishonest, but she often likes to test the people on their own honesty. She'll confront you if you try to take more or less than the amount she agreed on. The situation may get out of hand from there. Rules for visiting. 1. Granny will usually invite you inside after paying for the pizza. She won't be offended if you decline, but as we mentioned previously, you'll probably be running into her quite a bit when delivering to the Cribble Rock run. We suggest you try to get to know her. 2. Never enter Granny's house without first giving her the ham from your car's mini freezer. While she's probably not hungry after eating the pizza, Granny's hunger grows relatively quickly. If it's not already clear, you do not want to be around Granny when she's hungry. And no matter what, she'll certainly appreciate the ham. 3. As mentioned previously, be polite when talking to Granny, and don't talk offensively about nature in any way. The last time someone got too rude while visiting her, Granny loosened several of the vines holding the ceiling above the visitor. We wish we could say being hit by falling planks and floorboards was the worst thing that happened to him afterwards. 4. Granny may offer you some tea and cookies while you're visiting her. We do not suggest accepting the offer. Nearly everything Granny consumes is either meat or is derived from meat. Her tea is in fact boiled blood, and we'd rather not talk about the cookies. 5. If Granny ever randomly tenses up and starts glaring, followed by her eyes turning solid black for no conceivable reason, someone or something has entered her territory without permission. If your car is working, politely tell her that you're leaving. If your car isn't working, ask if you can go downstairs for a while. Either way, she'll reply with an, "Of course, dearie," then almost immediately crash to the nearest wall to go deal with the intruder. Don't worry about the house, the vines will pull the walls back together in no time. 6. Granny's basement has multiple rooms. While down there, never enter any room that doesn't have a door. Granny keeps one specific room ready for guests at all times. You will know it when you see it. It's the only room that actually has a door. 7. Within the guest room you'll find a single bed and a number of mint bundles hanging around the door. Keep one of the bundles with you at all times, but make sure the others stay on the door. Granny keeps them here to disguise her guest scent from herself. If she ever loses herself to hunger while you're visiting, this room will be the only thing that keeps you off the menu. 8. If after Granny left, you hear crashing sounds followed by roaring and shrieking, quickly and immediately get under the bed. Granny occasionally deals with intruders by luring them into the house and then letting the entire structure collapse on top of them. She doesn't rely on this strategy too often though. Usually the trees help her eliminate the guest quickly. But don't be too alarmed if this does happen. You should be perfectly safe from the debris if you're underneath the sturdy bed frame. And Granny will always have the house rebuilt entirely within the hour. 9. While you should always avoid entering any and all of the rooms without doors, especially avoid entering the room made entirely of plants. This is Granny's den. Entering it is a surefire way to doom yourself, especially if the plants manage to catch you. 10. If you're visiting Granny because your car broke down, see the previous rules we sent you for a reminder on why that might happen. Do not leave the guest room once inside until you know a reliable method of transportation is outside and ready to pick you up. 11. Before you go, always let Granny know you're leaving first. She'll be offended otherwise. 12. If, for whatever reason, you can't find her, leave a small note behind so that Granny knows you've left. She'll appreciate the gesture. That should be pretty much everything you need to know about Granny Long Paw. Given that she is by far the most well-meaning resident of the Cribble Rock Run, and also your best option for help if you get stuck in Cribble Rock Run. We always send employees new to the neighbourhood delivering to Granny first. And while she is certainly dangerous, Granny is overall one of the least dangerous residents in this area, at least towards you. We feel that delivering to her first helps to give you an understanding of the Cribble Rock Road. And you'll definitely need to understand this place as much as possible to deliver there safely. As long as all goes well with Granny, we'll be sending you on more deliveries for the neighbourhood in the future. And please, always use proper caution when you're there. A neighbourhood where one of the least dangerous residents is capable of decapitating you, breaking your bones, or eating you alive accidentally is a neighbourhood to be very wary of. Yours truly, Rick and Nick Castillo. Your next delivery will be to the Candleman.